Hey folks, how's it going? I'm Lexi and I really like games. So much so that we review one here together once a week, every week on the gaming table. If that sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to hit subscribe and keep watching today's video. Who knows, maybe I'll even help you find your next game. Today we are reviewing a game that was sent to me. I'm always so excited to see the games that people have been working on. It's also often the case that when people send me games, I get to discover games that I wouldn't have known about otherwise. So if you have a game you're working on and you would like to see it here on the gaming table, please feel free to reach out to me. I've got the details for how to do that in the information box below. I have a slight delay in between receiving games and getting a review out, but I promise if you send a game, it will probably appear here sometime. Today's game is another example of this. I got sent a preview copy months ago and I finally just got to it. There have been a few slight tweaks between the preview copy I got and the published game that is out at the moment, so I'll try point them out where I can. The major one I'll point out now is the art in the final edition is a lot more vibrant than my copy. But without much further ado, let's ride into legend with today's game. This is Night from Mark Barron. Night takes place in the fantasy land of Avalon, and there are three kingdoms in this land: Camlin, Liuru, and Strathclyde. The players are generally going to be from Camlin. This game can actually take place across 3 ages. You can choose to start anywhere you want, or you can start from the very beginning and try to travel through all the ages. Each age has a slightly different tone, and each one gets its own little write-up. The first age begins in the wake of a betrayal. It feels kind of like the early Dark Ages. The previous High Queen Rhiannon was killed in battle. Before she fell, she thrust her legendary sword into a tree. Bycourt has risen to now assume the title of High King, though without the legendary sword. The Countess Yennefer, who was a relative of Queen Rhiannon, is quietly scheming and concealing some enemies of Bycourt. In this age, the players are likely to be defending and helping raise Celia, a hidden descendant of Queen Rhiannon. There's intrigue, monsters, and even that legendary sword. The second age has Celia rising to be queen, perhaps even High Queen. Technologies have advanced and there are tensions between pagan groups. There's tension between pagan groups and a more recent religion, with its followers known as the Faithful. There's even more magic going on at this time, and our queen has a series of romances that don't always go well. The last age is the decline of this queen. The court has become corrupt with self-interest, and with the advance of warfare technology comes unmitigated cruelty. Magic is fading as well. The few knights that choose to live up to the legends of chivalry are holding back the tide. Even our queen has become a shell of her former self. In this game, the players will have their knights go on adventures in a quest phase. Players can choose to closely follow the story that is outlined, or they can choose to go off and explore different places on the map. Then there's a fight phase, which kind of covers what the knights get up to when they're at home. It can also cover some changes that are happening across the continent. There is also a free play phase, which kind of combines the two, and it's often left to the players to sort of decide what they would like to do next. When you start out a game of Knights, the players with a potential game facilitator come together to first draw the map of Avalon. You need to add the kingdoms, the major rivers, any forests, and where each knight's personal fief is. There's also a major city to fill in too, where the High King's seat is. Building your knight is done step by step. When you're building your characters, you not only find out what they look like and what they're good at, but you even get to build their fief and something interesting about it, and who is their elected heir. To perform any action in this game, you roll a d20 and you compare it to the attribute you're testing. You want to meet the attribute or below to have a success with no consequences. If you roll above that number, you still get to achieve what you wanted to do, but there's probably a consequence for it. Sometimes you will need to roll an attribute dice to see what the effect of your actions are. Generally, depending on your attribute, this is from a d6 to a d12, depending on your character. Sometimes you even just get to roll a d6 to see your luck. During the fight phase, the facilitator or other players can roll some d20s to generate some events that will happen to the player characters. There's a lot of interesting things that can happen, and sometimes you get to add more geographical locations or points of interest onto the map. In the free play phase, the knights get to turn all of their exploits into glory points and decide perhaps what they would like to do next. And sometimes you can even zoom out to see what is happening at the world at large. I'd like to talk more about this game and the mechanics, but I really should stop it there so you guys can check out the game for yourselves. Knight is very fun. The mechanics are light and very narrative driven. While you don't have crunchy mechanics to cover huge scale warfare, the scale of this game's focus is actually pretty wide. I like that this game not only covers what happens to your characters, but what's going on in the greater world, be that magic, geography, political, you name it. Something I haven't been able to cover in detail is this game has a sort of inbuilt way to retire your knights. They might die, or they might go on enough adventures that it's time for them to retire, and their heir to take on the adventure, or perhaps a different character altogether. If you're a fan of Arthurian legends, then Knight is absolutely one to check out. The mechanics are super easy and light to pick up. If you're a fan of crunchy mechanics, this game is probably not your thing. You can pick up a copy of Knight from drive-thru RPG for $30. This will get you both a PDF and a physical copy. So that was Knight. I will say I did actually get the huge privilege of getting to play Knight a few times with Mark because we happen to live nearby. It is very rare that I get to talk and hang out with the game creators that I review the work of. It was an absolute treat. But what did you all think? What do you think of a game where you have a map that everyone gets to doodle and add to? Is that a plus for you, or would you find that intimidating? I'm personally a bit of a sucker for breaking out the colouring in pencils. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. While you're there, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications so YouTube tells you when I've next uploaded, and you could even share this video with a friend. I also have a Ko-Fi page where you can donate to help keep this channel going, but just watching and supporting from here is more than enough. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!